This is the first episode of That is Projection, That is a Psyop. In today's episode, we're going to be covering 4 topics. We have an honorable mention topic that we found on X about a Psyop that you need to know about. We have the Dr. Umar and his daughter Psyop that you must know about. We have the Elon Musk Social Security Psyop that you must know about. And the first one that we will cover is this one.
What if Adam realized that the being he called God was actually the devil? This isn't me just being edgy for clicks. This is straight from a banned ancient gospel called The Apocalypse of Adam.
Now, the reason this psyop that you just seen is important for you to know is the religious psyop is one of the biggest psyops that you must be aware about. The biggest psyop in the world, in this world, in the next world, in density period, is the psyop that fearing God is the way, and if you do not fear God, you are going to hell. Anything that leads to that, hold on, let's insert an actual name, Operation Gladio, where the Vatican, yes, that Pope and all of them, the supposed divination king and all of this, and the CIA was working hand in hand for propaganda and psyop activities. What is a psyop, you may ask? Psychological warfare. This revolution, this game is not a whole let's fight the power in the way that we did in the 60s. It's all in your mind. It is all spiritual. Okay, you have to understand these things. You have to understand why the government spends billions with a B. Billions of dollars on psychological evaluations and psyops. The reason is because there is a lot of laws and policies in place for just not total warfare anymore. So now they have to find other ways. Destabilization of certain countries and psyop on certain communities. The so-called black community, reason why we say so-called is the race identifiers didn't really even exist until the 18th century. Which means a person that was in power just suddenly said, hey, let's separate people by a title. So so-called black people, so-called white people, so-called yellow man, so-called this and that. All right? Now let's dive deeper into this religious psyop. This religious psyop is extremely entertaining because of what they tell you. The best place to hide is in plain sight. Bro is wearing a Baphomet t-shirt. Come on. What more do I have to say there?
This isn't me just being edgy for clicks.
Regardless of what the information the person is trying to present to you, the person is wearing a Baphomet t-shirt. Then, psychologically, this person does certain things that tells your subconscious things. This is where you have to understand how the subconscious mind works all the way up into the Siamonistic level of the subconscious mind. Do research on Dolores Cannon to really understand how powerful the Siamonistic level of the subconscious mind is.
Now, the part that I work with, I call it the subconscious. But it's not the subconscious the way it's defined by the psychiatrist. That's a childish part of your mind. That's the part of your mind that is used for habits. That's not the part I work with.
The subconscious mind does not, I repeat, does not operate in the same way your conscious mind operates in. Your conscious mind will say, hey, if you tell me a lie, I may recognize and know that it's a lie, so I will reject it. The subconscious mind, however, does not have the same thought process. It subtly sees the things behind what you're saying. So, for example, bro said, hey, what if Christianity was worshiping the devil? Whether that's true or not, leaning towards it very well could be true. The point of that is the person that's telling you that, and that's like me wearing little mustache man's gear trying to tell you to be spiritual. At some point, the messenger has to fit the message, and also the message has to have no clear agenda. What clear agenda are you showing me when you're wearing satanic gear and then you're telling people not to have total knowingness in the religion they grew up with, though I do not subscribe to religion, not having total knowingness of the religion they grew up in, And then what that tells your subconscious mind is, all right, I have to find something else because this isn't the truth, because they've been hiding something from me. Because the way the truth works is, if I find one lie in the Bible, then the Bible is not true. That is how definitions work. So that's what your subconscious mind hears. You prove that there are things that are being hidden from the particular religion. So the subconscious mind of the Christian perspective says, oh my gosh, the Bible is a lie. What do I do now? And then they see subconsciously you wearing certain gear. Oh, that person may know the truth. So let me subconsciously go in that direction. That is psychological warfare. Now, let's talk about Dr. Umar and his daughter's situation. This is a psyop.
Because he put his fucking hands on her. What's wrong with him? He should be in fucking jail. Like, really, he should be in jail. Like, I'm not even joking with y'all right now. There's a lot about him that y'all don't know. He's a crazy, sick man.
So in the video that you just watched, you're not going to sit here and tell me that we're just going to believe a daughter with absolutely no proof, especially because of this. How destabilization in the black community works, or the so-called black community works, especially as it pertains to its leaders, is if you must dismiss a leader, you must replace the leader. If you do not replace the leader, you are doing the three-letter society's jobs for them until she shows proof. Because in that same clip, if you watch the entire thing and go on her socials and find it, she even says there are things that she does not know about how long they've been together and what actually entailed within that relationship because she was not there. That means her mother told her. We're not going to act like women, whatever your skin color is, aren't bitter. We see that with the DDG and Holly situation. We see that with many situations, but since that one was the more popular one, that's the one that source told me to say. We're not going to act like men can't be bitter. So that's why I said, if we must dismiss Dr. Umar, who are you going to replace him with? Until you find a replacement, you keep him in power.
When black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it.
If not, you are doing the CIA's job for them. That is a psyop. That is destabilization of another black community. Now we're going to be talking about Elon Musk and the Social Security being cut off. Oh my God, the Social Security is being cut off. The government is taking their money back. Oh my gosh, look on the freaking bill, people. It has the president's face on it. It has all of these signs and notes that says this piece of paper belongs to the government. That's why we have you get it back. All right? Why are you complaining about the government taking their money back? What you should be doing is going into your community or start off with your best friends that have like minds and saying, hey, let's start and I'm in Columbus, so in Columbus we have a credit union, which is called Kimba. Let's start a Kimba account, or let's start this credit union account and band our funds together, whatever loose change that we have, throw it into that pot, gather more people, appoint somebody to be the person that watches the pot, and then every month go to all of the elders in your neighborhood and give them a check. Whether it's $20, $30, you start off somewhere. Stop complaining about them taking their money back. I don't care if you feel like you worked as hard as you worked, whatever, it's their money, period. Stop being codependent on the government. See, if we were in the 60s, no one will have an issue with what I'm saying. So don't have an issue with what I'm saying just because you've been codependent too long. Learn from our Messiah, Malcolm X. Learn from our Messiah, Yeshua. Learn from our Messiah, Martin Luther King in the last 2 years of his life. Not all the rest of it, because he was definitely clowning. the last 2 years of his life, when he was doing the poor man's march and making that march to the White House and saying we're not going to leave until we get jobs in a house. That's actual change. That is doing something, not just marching and stomping around. All right? Martin Luther King in his last 2 years is a reason it's not publicized. Stop complaining about people, the government, taking their money back. Who cares about Social Security being cut off? That is more incentive for you to start creating communities and start assisting the elders directly, since you want to be so freaking righteous.
The BGB pitch style actually comes from Black history. Did you know in the early 1900s, during the Great Migration, white landowners raised the rent and Black people threw rent parties, where the admission fees were used as a way to prevent evictions. These weren't just any parties. You had people like Langston Hughes and Duke Ellington helping with these events.
That's to all those that complain. Now, let's do an honorable mention. On Twitter, aka X. This psyop is an important one because it's telling you subconsciously that being empathetic actually brings forth issues. It's projection, it's a psyop. All right? It's projection, it's a psyop, because that person was just talking about his life. See my response directly so you can see that. Now, let's break this down. Projection is what the first dude was doing with the Adam story, because he was projecting his life onto you and psyopting your way to try to get in his life. Projection is what Dr. Umar's daughter and Dr. Umar was doing to each other, and it's a psyop because if you want to dismiss Dr. Umar, replace him. Projection is complaining that the government is taking their money, and not forming a community behind your claims. And it's a psyop because you're not doing anything about it, starting any community. And projection and psyop for the honorable mention of the Twitter /X post, you've seen that already.